Hey everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am going to show you how to make a super adorable rainbow slider card. So this is what it looks like when it's flat and you pull that tab and up pops a rainbow, which I think is so much fun. And I'm featuring this new rainbow slider die set from the Essentials by Ellen line, which was just released today. There's three parts. There's the rainbow part, the base part, and then the part that cuts a window. And the cool thing about the window piece is that it also has a few extra bonus pieces in it as well. So I wanted to show you what I have here. I have an A2 size card that's cut to 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. I also have another piece of 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch cardstock. That's going to be my card front. And then finally, I have a piece of Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock. I'm going to cut the slider and the slider base from that. So I'm starting out with my card front and my window piece, and I'm lining it up to where the tab is flush with that right-hand side of the cardstock. You can see it is flush there. And the window doesn't cut all the way to the edge. I wanted to show you this here. So the window is this outer portion here. It's also going to cut the thumb tab, and you're going to get some bonus pieces as well. So I'm going to flip that back over. I'm holding it in place with a piece of delicate surface painter's tape. And then I'm going to take the slider base. This is the one that the rainbow piece is going to attach to. It has the little arrow on it. And finally, the rainbow piece itself, which has all of the little slits that create the rainbow arches. So I have all of these on my cardstock. I've set my card base aside, and I'm going to die cut these by running them through my Gemini Junior. And you're going to see I am left with a few pieces here. There is my base. Here is my rainbow piece. And then finally, I have my card front. Now the card front has the window cut in it for that rainbow to kind of slide up, but now I also have a few little clouds and different things that I can use on another project. And to get that out of my die, I just throw it on my work surface. That tends to work the best for me. Now I didn't quite get that tab all the way to the side, so I just snipped it up to the cut lines with my scissors. Now on this rainbow piece, there's a couple of little tabs that are scored on the end. You can see the cuts that are running right now vertically, but perpendicular to that, there are some little score lines. I'm just going to start by folding on those score lines. I don't need a tight crease on this. I'm just going to fold them up just so I can kind of see them and know where they're at and kind of get them moving and functioning. And I did use 80-pound cardstock for this because I want the bows or the arches of my rainbow to kind of bend and move very easily. If you use a heavier weight cardstock, I haven't tried it out, but I think that it would be a little tougher to kind of pull it into place. So I'm going to add some color to my rainbow here. I've taken a piece of acetate and I've slipped it in between these pieces to where just the very top one is exposed and all of the others are underneath the acetate. And I'm using some COPIC markers to add color to these little strips. And you can see I have the ends masked off there with a little bit of full sticky Post-it note, or you could use Post-it tape or even some painter's tape would work, but I'm just trying to keep those ends from getting marker all over them. So you can see as I'm working through my rainbow here, I'm just sliding my acetate in between each piece and keeping just that one on top of the acetate. I did have to cut the acetate down, and later on I did find that I prefer actually paper for this. The acetate picks up some of that COPIC marker, and if you're not careful, you can kind of reactivate it and kind of get it on your project in other areas. So I do prefer just regular paper for this. So here's a look at my rainbow once it's all colored. This card that I'm making here is just a mock-up. I just wanted to show you how to put it together. So I'm going to grab my rainbow piece and my base piece. And I am going to, this is how they're going to lay on top of each other where the notch lines up with the arrow. On the back side of this left-hand side, I'm going to add some Be Creative tape. You could use a strong tape runner or a liquid adhesive. And I'm only adding adhesive to the back side of the left side at this point. I'm going to line that up to where the notch is kind of centered with the arrow, and then those two ends that I'm right now holding at the top are flush with each other. So I can just make sure that everything's nice and lined up. I have my arrow inside the arch, and those two ends are lined up flush with each other, and then I'm going to press that down. So right now I only have this adhered on one end. Now on the front side of this part with the little thumb notch, I'm going to add some more Be Creative tape. So it's on the front side. And I am going to line my card front up over the top of this rainbow slider piece, and I'm going to press that down. So it's only held in place by that Be Creative tape that I put on top of that rainbow piece. So I'm going to show you what this looks like all put together here. I haven't put it on my card base yet, but you're going to see that it kind of makes a Z here. So the rainbow piece is attached to the base on the left side, and the rainbow piece is attached to the card front on that right side. And this is kind of what you're left with, and you have that rainbow peeking through the window. Now on the back side of my card front, I'm going to add some foam adhesive, and I'm kind of creating channels for my rainbow slider piece to kind of stay within. So I'm just putting it on either side of that rainbow slider that I've attached to the card front. I'm being sure that I don't impede the movement of that slider piece at all. So I'm kind of getting it close, but not pushing it all the way up to that piece. And I'm not going to put any adhesive on this portion right here. You want that to be able to move freely. So I just have the foam adhesive on either side of that window and slider piece. And now I can take this and line it up onto my card base and attach that using the foam adhesive. I like to use a little foam adhesive. You could probably get away without it, but it makes it easier to grab the little thumb tab. Now, once all of this is put together, you can see you can grab the thumb tab and just pull it up, and it creates that fun rainbow. Now, if you want your base piece to match your card, you can absolutely do that. There are so many ways to kind of decorate this, and I'm going to show you a few different options here now that we've gone through the basic assembly of this piece. But I think that this die design is just so genius, and I love how that rainbow is just such a fun surprise for the recipient. So now that you all know how to put this together, let's make some real cards. I am taking this rainbow piece that I have die cut from some Concord and 9th glitter cardstock. It comes in a variety pack, and there is this white glitter cardstock in there, and I absolutely love it. It die cuts beautifully. And I am just slipping a piece of scratch paper between those strips, and I'm coloring them with some COPIC markers. Now I am adding a little bit of shading on these, so I'm adding some darkness to the outer edges and a little bit lighter COPIC marker towards the center. And sometimes I do go back and darken up the darkest areas just to add a little more depth in the shading. And all of these COPIC markers that I'm using today, I will have them linked over at my blog so you know what colors I used. But I'm going to work through my rainbow here. I am leaving purple out this time. I am using a pink, an orange, a yellow, a bright green, and kind of, it's a blue-green marker, but kind of a turquoisey blue for my rainbow. And you can see I've only masked off the left side because I've realized that as long as you don't go too far on that right side, it's totally fine to not mask it off. So that's just, you know, me. That's what I've found. So once again, I am taking some Be Creative tape and adding it to the back side of this rainbow piece on the left side. I am going to line this up and get it centered. I have these two ends at the bottom here that I'm making sure that they line up. And then the little thumb tab, I'm making sure that the arrow is in the center of that, and this time I'm holding it on the top. So you can see I have that all lined up and pressed down. And now I'm going to take some more Be Creative tape, and I'm going to add it to the front side of this rainbow piece on the outside of the score line. And I'm going to really press that in with my fingers so that I get it really adhered to glitter cardstock. Glitter cardstock can be a little bit tricky sometimes to kind of get things to adhere to. So you really want to press that adhesive into the glitter cardstock. And then I've gone ahead and I've attached that onto my card front that has the window. Now you can see the one on the left I did with glitter. This one here I colored with COPIC markers, It is on some regular Nina Solar White cardstock, and to add a little shimmer to it, I'm going to use my Tonic Aqua Shimmer Glitter Gloss pen, which is quickly becoming my favorite shimmer pen. And that just adds a little bit of shimmer to my rainbow. Now, when I think rainbows, I think clouds. So I grabbed my Hero Arts nesting cloud dies, and I die cut a large one from some vellum. And now I am taking this window die and I am lining it up to where I'm going to cut the window through this vellum cloud. But if you'll see here, my cloud is overlapping that piece here that cuts the thumb tab, and I don't want that piece to cut. So I'm going to do a little partial die cutting here. I am going to just allow that portion that cuts the thumb tab to hang out of my die cutting sandwich. So anything that's between the plates will cut, and anything that's hanging out of the plates, like this thumb tab here, will not cut. So what I'll end up with is a cloud that has that window cut out of the center. So the rainbow will actually pop up from the center of this cloud. I'm adding a couple more little stamped and die cut clouds. These are from the brand new Essentials by Ellen Unicorns and Rainbows stamp set. I'm adding them onto the vellum cloud using a little bit of tape runner adhesive, and then I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind those cardstock clouds that I've added. This just helped me to have a place to kind of hide some more adhesive so I could really adhere this vellum cloud onto my card front here. So I'm removing the backer and I'm just going to position that right over the window. And you can see I've actually heat embossed a sentiment from the new Pure Magic stamp set from the Essentials by Ellen line. And I've placed that kind of on that lower right hand corner. And now I have my card front ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and add the foam adhesive. Once again, I'm making sure that that foam adhesive is not going to impede the movement of my rainbow slider at all. So I'm just putting it on either side. I'm putting it close to the slider, but not overlapping the slider. And then I'm going to line this up onto my card base and press that down. And you can see that this makes a really fun little rainbow slider card where that rainbow pops up right out of the center of that vellum cloud there. And I think it's so fun. And I did finish this off with a few little hearts from the Unicorns and Rainbows stamp set as well. And I put some of those hearts on the left side of the rainbow, which I think is fun because they kind of pop up when that rainbow pops up. Now from that same Hero Arts cloud die set, I cut some more smaller clouds, and I wanted this to kind of go around three sides of my rainbow here. So once again, I am using the window die that I used to create the window on the front of my card here. And I'm lining that up. I want this to kind of cut a center out of it, but I'm going to have three sides that are kind of going to wrap around it. This is going to make more sense here. The nice thing about vellum is I can actually look through it and figure out where those die lines are, so I don't have to kind of guess as much. And you can see I have the little window cut out of there. Now this smaller cloud here, I actually added a couple of little things of foam adhesive, and I am attaching it underneath the rainbow on top of the slider base. So the little piece that we attach the rainbow to, that's what I'm attaching my cloud to as well. And you're gonna see that this makes a really fun card because when I slide the rainbow out, the cloud is actually gonna move along with it. The cloud doesn't pop up, but the cloud moves across the card, which I think is so much fun. Here's that other cloud that I cut the window kind of out of it. So I have three sides left of my cloud. I added a little bit of the multi-medium matte adhesive behind there in just a few little spots, and I attached it underneath the cloud onto the card base. So it is sitting underneath that cloud that's attached to the slider piece. And here I just finished off this card with some more of those stamped and colored hearts. I am sliding this over and kind of holding it in place so I can attach my last heart. I needed to make sure that this heart wasn't gonna hinder or impede the movement of that rainbow at all. So I kind of slid it to where it was popped up and then placed my heart. And that way I was sure I had it in the right place. Now I heat embossed a sentiment for this one as well. This is also from the Pure Magic stamp set, and I heat embossed that with some gold embossing powder. And you can see that makes for a fun card. Not only does the rainbow pop up, but the clouds move, which I think is so much fun. Now I thought that was so wonderful, I had to make one more rainbow slider card with moving clouds. So I have some more vellum clouds cut here. These are all cut with the Hero Arts nesting clouds dies, and I got smart here and I figured out that I could tape this slider kind of to one side and keep it popped up for me. So if I'm working and I want to kind of keep it popped up, I can do that with just a little delicate surface painter's tape. So once again, I'm taking that smaller cloud, attaching it to the slider base that's behind the rainbow. And on this one that's on the upper side, I'm keeping my adhesive towards the left bottom of that cloud, because if I put adhesive too far to the right, it's going to impede the movement of that cloud. Now you're going to see here when I go to slide this, it's actually stopping because of the cloud itself. So I just trimmed a little bit of the cloud off of the bottom, kind of in an L shape. You don't even notice it, and that allowed that rainbow slider piece to slide freely across the entire card. So I cut one more of those clouds with the window kind of cut out of it, so it's kind of like a three-sided cloud that can wrap around the window that's on my card front. And I'm adhering that with that same matte adhesive. I put very little, you don't need much of this adhesive at all to keep that cloud in place, and I pressed it down onto the card front. You want this to be under those clouds that are moving, so it needs to attach to the card front itself. And you can see when I slide this open, I don't have it on a card base yet, so it's a little more difficult to do. But when I slide this open, I now have two clouds that move. Now, over the top of these clouds, you could put a unicorn. I decided to go ahead and put a sentiment towards the left side of that bottom cloud. And then my unicorn is going to go to the lower right side of this rainbow. So you can see I'm adjusting all of this here. And when I pull this, the sentiment is actually going to move over to where the rainbow is. And I think that is so much fun. So here's a look at the completed card. You can see I have two clouds moving, a sentiment moving. I finished it off with a few more of those hearts that I stamped and colored and die cut. And I just love these rainbow slider cards. I loved the idea of the rainbow moving when I first saw it, but when I figured out that you could attach things to the base piece and have them move across the card as well, I was just over the moon. I mean, I think this is just so much fun for the recipient. And I mean, on these cards, you have like glitter and sparkles and unicorns and rainbows. I'm not sure what else, maybe other than a mermaid, that you could want on a single card. I mean, this just kind of this just does it for me. As always, I will have links to the featured supplies used in these projects in the description at YouTube, but head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. I will link it below. Over there, I'll have more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies I used in these projects, as well as the COPIC marker colors that I used. And over there, you will see a few pictures of a couple more projects that I made using the new July 2018 Essentials by Ellen release. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed these projects. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials. Thanks for hanging out, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the very end. You know, if you've made it this far, you are my favorite. If you want to subscribe to my channel, go ahead and click the button on the left side of the screen. And here's a couple more video tutorials I thought you might enjoy.